Hello everyone. This is the 17th anniversary of the September 11th attacks that were perpetrated by Osama bin Laden in coordination with Islamic jihadists. It was in many ways a victory for Islamic jihadists and Osama bin Laden especially. It was a defeat for U.S. interests. It was a defeat for um, if not the soul of America, certainly vitality of what it meant to be America. That was somewhat more innocent and naive before the 9/11 attacks and became much more vulnerable thereafter. Immediately after the September 11th attacks, President Bush was correct in not making Islam an enemy of the United States. However, there was too much rhetoric that the enemy shouldn't be named and should remain nameless, and that to frame this narrative that Islam is religion or a movement of peace. This narrative gained hold since 9/11, and it is called 9/11 as opposed to a war on terror without a name. Certainly, Nazi Germany was, we call it the Nazis. It's clear, but this war was not. It was remained ambiguous on purpose to protect those who attacked us, so as not to inflame them and create more activity against us. What is more disturbing is that besides that, we have become a hollow nation, and the West in general has become a hollow part of the world. We didn't see any demonstrations of any significance when Bush took us into Iraq, an absolutely horrific war. It certainly was not up to scale of Vietnam, but the entire war was an effort that was fruitless and should have never happened. In fact, there really shouldn't have been any response in the face of a war in Iraq after 9/11. We didn't think it through. We bent on emotions. We tried to appease people, but rarely did we ever look at the uh, at a strategic level, the consequences that would become from our actions or our inactions in some ways. So what's happened, we've seen a West and the United States hollowed out when we look at culturally, socially, and for a long time economically. We're starting to see a spike in growth now, but we're very much a nation divided. And Osama bin Laden was not only trying to disrupt financial institutions and our resolve, but he wanted us to spend money on things like security. He wanted us to be lured into a war that would cost us lives and treasure. He wanted these to happen, and he was very successful. Very successful. The somber day is somber in the fact that America really is not as exceptional as it once was, or exceptional as it could be, not because in and of itself it is not an exceptional country. It is. But we have become so self-critical and so we feel that we're not the type of country we should be. We go out of bends to call Islam the religion of peace, and its function as a religion is really maybe like only one quarter. It's 2/3 and ideology, we go and look at ourselves as sexist, racist, racial. Oh my God, I can't get these words out. Because we hear this all the time. We're sexist, racist, um, Islamophobic, which is probably um, a fear of Islam, which perhaps is probably not so bad. Uh, but we really try to uh, treat ourselves in such a way that Osama would have liked to see us treat ourselves. That's the problem. And we, of course, the byproduct of that is the rise of the leftists. The rise of the leftists is a component that was not foreseen, and probably not foreseen by Osama bin Laden either. That is perhaps the legacy that none of us really foresaw. But as in weakening the American spirit, a rise to the left seemed almost inevitable. And it has happened. And even with Trump in the presidency now, is continuing to happen. The left is exasperating the whole notion of what it is to be a Westerner. It is bent out of shape to disrupt and destroy our institutions. And while it is a function of a small minority of those on the left, its propaganda reaches far and wide to other corners of the world and to other nations. Rather than building up nations to encourage more uh, conservative or centrist ideas, and I'm talking about central, I am talking about um, a center that is far right of where the leftist extremists are. I'm not talking about far right movement. But to say that we need less government authority, more liberty, and more freedom is not only a wise move, it's something we should try to encourage more. And certainly there is a movement to do so, but it's being silenced by social media giants who call that movement racist, Nazi, neo-Nazi, bigoted, sexist, and the rest. The censorship that we're seeing now is another byproduct of that problem where ideas are being suppressed. And so, how can you tell people in other parts of the world that freedom is a inalienable right for all of us, for all of humanity, no matter who you are? And so, the legacy of 9/11 today, 17 years later, is a sad one. It's not to say that things were much better before 9/11, but they were a lot better before 9/11. And millennials, I experienced that, of course. Most millennials haven't. They don't know what the 90s was like. And Bill Clinton had his issues, and I didn't support everything he did. Um, but the nation as a whole, notwithstanding Bill Clinton as president, was very positive. We saw the information age really come to fruition, and there was a lot of optimism. There was a lot of peace in the world, um, but the storm clouds were looming on the horizon. There's no question about that. 9/11 was not a complete surprise. So it's when you reflect on today, you look at those who died. Uh, I knew a colleague um, who did work at Cantor Fitzgerald's who passed away, Michael Flynn. Um, it's sad to see that what could have become of that as a lesson for the world, a lesson for the West, and a lesson for the United States in particular, didn't really come. George Bush was a disaster, um, an epic disaster, in putting us into wars we didn't have to fight. We had our own values and ideology that could withstand 9/11. We didn't pursue those. We alienated the world. We certainly stirred troubles in the Middle East, and we kind of played right into Bin Laden's hand. Obama himself also did not, by trying to appease the Middle East, looked at the problems of the West as being an issue that exasperated the problems in the Middle East. That's a sad um, testimony from a very smart and intelligent leader who took the worldview that America was not so exceptional. And that fed right into most of our culture. Certainly our education, our university system, Hollywood, the media, very much created this leftist narrative that we now have to fight. And we're not going to fight it with another war. It's not going to be fought with bullets or grenades. It's going to be fought on ideas. But the problem is those ideas are trying to be suppressed. So the way I look at this point in our world, these ideas have to come out. We have to share them. Have to share them not amongst just us, amongst ourselves, our nation, but the world. That's my effort here today. That's how I remember the legacy of 9/11, a terrorist attack that few of us are brave enough to name, an enemy we're afraid to name. But in some respects, the enemy is within ourselves, and that's where Osama bin Laden wanted it to grow. I'll see you next time.